about your past.
Hello everyone, I'm your host, Coach Tina Lane. Welcome to the Village Drum. And today I have the honor of interviewing someone that I have been admiring for years. I have Donna Jackson in the studio today, and we're going to do a one-on-one. You're going to learn more about Donna. Many of you know about her in the community in Essex County, in the city of Newark. You know her as an activist, a leader, a motivational speaker, a person that's going to make it happen. She's going to speak her mind. But I want you today to learn about the person, Donna Jackson. Because a lot of times we don't know about the individual. We know about the title. But it's the heart behind Donna Jackson. It's a woman behind the title. She has dreams, she has ambition, she has passion. So today we're going to learn what made her what started her in this journey of being a community activist. We're going to learn a little bit about her family. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine? That's fine. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Welcome. Donna Jackson, the phenomenal woman.
Thank you, Tina. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Don't often do individual, let's talk about you interviews, so I'm honored that you asked, and let's do it.
Well, listen, I was inspired. Recently I saw Donna, and Donna was doing what she normally does. We was at a vigil, and she had been on my mind. And I just love the fact that you have a heart for people.
Yes.
And some people may not understand, but I told you that night, and I'll say it again. You have a calling and a gift. And that calling and a gift that many people can't walk with, because you're there when people are going through the worst moments in their life. And many people can't stand there and be there with someone, be by their side. And when I say the worst moments, I want people to understand the worst moments because you're there when individuals have lost a loved one due to a tragic situation. Yeah. And you're there, you're comforting them. But before we go into that, tell me a little bit about Donna. Where did Donna grow up?
Donna grew up on Yates Avenue in Newark, block over from Hawthorne and Osborne Terrace.
Wow.
Had
Yates
a good little
Seymour.
life over there on Yates and Seymour, yes. Used to ride our bikes down the street, had to be on the porch when the lights came on. All of that us 45 and under over crew know very well. When your parent called you one time, you were getting there. You were making it happen. 3 brothers, a sister, mom and dad. My mother was a teacher at that time at Blessed Sacrament School on Clinton Avenue. My father worked for Amex Metal. And my father coached basketball and football at Blessed Sacrament along with Mr. Jenkins, Mr. O'Cause, Mr. Howard, and many that formed the family at Blessed Sacrament. That's in the 70s, the early 60s, late 60s, early 70s. I remember we had a little issue at Blessed Sacrament with the Wild Bunch. That used to run rampant sometime, nowhere near what we're going through today. And I remember my father and Mr. Jenkins, Mr. O'Cause, and them going out and dealing with them, because there were days where there were fights. Wow. They would come down from Clinton Place School, and there would be little altercations. And I remember them going out saying, "Hey, come on, let's go play basketball, let's play football," and made them a part of the family of Blessed Sacrament. And many of them played basketball and football, and that kind of quelled the situation going on between us and them. I remember distinctly walking home one day, I think I'm 4th grade maybe. My mother and father had bought me a clear watch with a burgundy dial, and the Wild Bunch was waiting for us when we came around the corner, and they took my watch. My heart was broken. But through those trials and tribulations, even then, you learn how to overcome stuff. And at that time, my father was a community leader himself. The Coalition 6, which was 6 churches that had come together. In my youth, I was a part of CYO, and I later found out with my partner Cassandra that CYO was also in the Baptist church, because they had it at Beulah. Wow. And we would go skiing, and there were, the summertime, the wintertime, the Christian youth organization. And we need to bring that back like yesterday, because there were different things that we could experience through that organization, and at the same time had to just be anchored to some kind of faith. Know what's going on, and I know that's part of what what's missing today.
Okay.
So my anchor was my father. My father used to go to city council meetings at that time. Mayor Gibson was in the beginning of Mayor Sharp James' term, and he used to hang out with Mr. Hertz, Miss Virginia Morton,
Oh, Mr. Hertz, wow.
and many seniors. I used to work the bingo at Blessed Sacrament, so got to know a lot of those seniors there because they knew my father, because he called the second half of bingo at Blessed Sacrament Church, and many at that time, our seniors went to bingo, and the era of today that we don't have those large bingo halls for our seniors to come together and have fun. And now everybody there was a senior, but people just like to come out and have bingo, and
right.
It's a light form of gambling. You wasn't really taking your whole life savings and having a little fun, and if you won a jackpot, you won the jackpot. I used to do the coffee and the donuts, and we used to sell hot dogs and hamburgers and soda. So I go around to the table as we were required to do, but then began to enjoy doing.
Right.
In my youth, I also worked at School Stadium. I worked on the weekends through the program with Charlie Bell, with the youth work behind the booth, selling the hot dogs and stuff. I did that for a couple of years. So vast experience in my childhood. We didn't have idle time then.
Right.
We weren't allowed to have it.
Yeah, you was exposed to it so much.
Exposed to so much. Even on my family side, on Sunday, that was family day. We want to see my grandmother, my great aunt, my great uncle. I mean, there were just people who we had to see every Sunday. Went to church on Sunday. My neighbor that lived upstairs, Sherry, was a member of Mount Zion. So some days I would go to Blessed Sacrament at 10 o'clock. We'd be done by 10:45, 11 o'clock. Come home and go to church with her. Okay. And my experience was like, okay, now I think you in here just a little too long. The first couple of times I went, right, because I wasn't used to it. But as I adapted to it, started going to Bible school. Some days I would go to church with Sherry and not go to Blessed Sacrament with my family. But it was fine because it's the same spiritual enrichment. Right. And I think that is what's vastly missing today. Our connections to that.
True.
The childhoods that we all had, they're not here now for these children to have. And I think some parents are beginning to grasp that we need to put some of that back in the day stuff back into what's going on. I'm gonna share this real quick because I remember it. Miss Miami Heat on Facebook is one of my friends, and today is just so ironic. She posted we have to have dinner time at the table and get back to playing those games of Monopoly, etc. And I responded, yes, right on target. And many people were saying that. But the challenge that she issued, as she always does, some good issues, is that when will we begin to do that? She said even if she doesn't cook, when she and her son eat, they eat at the table. Right. How many of us do that? And I know this is a fast-paced world, and I do understand that we're working 2 and 3 jobs. I do understand the demand on us today is great, but we have to get back to a semblance of family time. I think
that's important to
many of us
to get back to family time. And what you have stated, that you grew up in a household that was family-oriented. Mm-hmm. Extremely family-oriented, so you was exposed to a lot. Your father was a community leader,
yes.
So you were involved in different Christian youth organization,
yes.
So you already started your passion to lead at a very young age. Mm-hmm. Now, outside of doing the community activism, so people can also get to know the other side, what does Donna do when she's not fighting for other people, just to relax? Because that can be a lot when you have to bring it down and just, okay, no phone calls, no texts, no email. Mm-hmm. What does Donna do to relax?
Well, that's family time. Now, those relaxing days are very few for me in the last 10 years, very few. But my family time is very important to me. I have 3 of my own children. I raised 4 others that are now with me and not with me, but we still stay close as we can. Okay. And I'm in the middle of 2 grandsons, 10 years old each, and then I have a new granddaughter who is 8 months old, going on 30.
Your grandmother?
And, so I'm a grandmother now. So I try to let them have the same opportunities that I have. So my fun time is going to Chunky Cheese. I don't have a problem with that. We can get a game of pity pat in. I'll go find some quarters and dimes, just to keep it interesting after we, do what we're doing. Because I think that our children have to have a balance. I think sometimes today when our children are doing things, they don't understand the difference between a win and a loss,
Right.
but still go and do your best. So I make it my business every chance I get. I'm in that car and we're going someplace. If it's not but to Seaside Heights, if it's not but to the bowling alley, and things have become very different. When I had my children, when they were coming up, we did bowling league. So I was bowling on Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday morning, and it was different than it didn't cost $60 a night per couple,
Right,
per
it was
my
much
son
cheaper.
and mother to bowl.
Right.
I could do it, then I can make it happen. I would get an older cousin to go with one of my kids, or one of my children to go with a younger one, so that they had that experience. So my relaxing is just relaxing. That's it. Just once in a while I do AC just to get away, but
Okay.
most of the time I just take it down.
Take it down.
And there's a lot of reflection, so I don't really have I don't take it all the way down moment. I just don't, because I'm just afraid that until we get to where we need to be,
Yes.
that if you take it all the way down, take too much time, some catastrophe will happen. And I just feel like, okay, I need to try to be there and do the best that I can, because that's just my motto now, just where I can fit in, if I can help a family. The shooting victims, from the domestic violence victims, from all of that, it does wear on you. It is a heavy burden to carry, but I know that every time I pray to do what I have to do, and
Yes.
when I make it there and I do what I have to do, that's what I'm supposed to do. And the personal sacrifice is not a problem for me, because I know that information is kept from us to get us to move on. And I know sometimes when people are down, if we just get a little help up, we could do it.
Right.
And some people don't always get that opportunity.
That is
and
true.
I don't mind being the barracuda in the room. I don't mind people going somewhere and using my name, because if they call me and it's not being done right, that's right, I'll either get on that phone or I'm coming.
That's that Donna now. We
yeah.
all know that about
So
you.
that's my passion.
Yes.
Like you said, that's my calling. And I just think that people need to just be dealt with fairly. So my passion is to make sure that happens. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of I love riding down to Trenton, being a part of a hearing. I love it.
Right.
Unconventional. I'll go just like I am now. Make sure I got my little sneakers on case. I tell them when I'm sitting there, okay, we might have to get it in. Was very active in the PTA when my children were in school. Very active in school PTA. It's just a passion of mine that we come together and do what we needed to do. Know the latest things that are going on. I just try to stay on top of stuff.
But when did you realize, after you were, because you're sharing a lot, and as you listen, I'm like, okay, when did she realize that this was going to be part of your entire journey? Because you've been doing this for years. Like, when was that moment you said, I'm not going to stop? Because at any time you can say, I'm going to give up. I'm not going to be the community leader. I'm not going to keep pushing.
Right.
When was that moment when you said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to follow this to the end?
I think probably about 15 years ago. I think when I had my children, the difference is I was working daily at a 9 to 5. I used to work for the telephone company. I worked for an income tax place for years. Stayed there till the company closed down. I used to work for the postal service when they privatized priority mail. Was part of the reason they had the trouble that they had there. I was working in the section, supposed to be 30 people, it's 10 people. They killing us over here. So I'm meeting with the workers. I'm like, look, we're gonna have to call a strike out here. They're like, no, Donna, we not doing that.
You were rallying at work.
Yes, rallying at work. So the second Christmas, 1 million packages on the floor, we shut it down. I talked to a young lady in California, young lady in the Philly plant, and we made it happen. And it only happened because everybody came together.
Yes.
So I think 15 years ago or so, when I was at that post office and needed that money, because I was still raising my children at that time, and the pay was decent. I think then I knew that I had to stay on this journey, stay who I am. And I am a fighter. I don't have a problem with that. I am one of the most compassionate people too, though. If I gotta get in that room and we gotta get that praying, and I gotta sit there and you have to let them tears out, if I gotta let them out, we're gonna do that, because I can switch to that mode. And I realized that you have to be sometimes two people in one place.
Okay.
But I think about 15 years ago, I realized that this is the journey I'm going to be on, and that I need to move forward to try to make things better for us as a people and us as a community. I just think that our awareness needs to be a lot more. I'm so concerned about the direction our children are going in.
I was going to ask you about
and the
that.
resources. And through my grandchildren, I really get involved. Like my younger grandson goes to Torchlight Educational Academy. It's a private school, and it's an Islamic school. And he is getting full there. He's being fed there. He has religion classes. He has to do his schoolwork. He has to wear a uniform. He has to, and they, say stuff when he comes in, and grandma didn't do the wash. Hey, Sister Alnisa, and and he's supposed to have on blue socks, and he got on white socks. So I understand the need coming out of Blessed Sacrament to be in uniform and comply to the things that are going on. I'm concerned though that one group of my children who are in that situation, it has gone too far. I think when you start suspending children and giving children detention because they're not in uniform, when you start sending children home because they have the wrong color shirt on, in today's day and age, some kids don't have that shirt on because the school shirt's not clean.
Right.
And I don't think we should begin attacking our children when that doesn't happen. And some of those practices that come from that private side of the charter and others is now trying to be implemented into the public school. And my thing right now is, no, I don't want them just to walk in there with anything. I thought that the uniform would be a good thing, and it's a little easier for parents, but I think that it has now become a money-making opportunity, and it has also become an assault on our children. I think that, if a parent is falling on hard times, and many of us do, and this has nothing to do with whether you're working or not working. There's just some week that you just don't have enough. And I couldn't buy the laundry detergent. There's some people that don't have soap in their house. People, Donna, they could get soap. They're getting their nails done. Everybody's not getting their nails done. Everybody's not going out buying crab legs. They're not. The folks that we like to throw out there to blanket our community with that blame, that's not the norm.
So with that being said, sorry to cut you off, but with that being said, the state of our economy, we talk about certain issues, what do you think is needed to empower our youth to move forward, to strive towards their education other than the streets? Our parents, some of them are struggling. What resources do you think they need at the moment? Because a lot of people come to you. Like, you got political figures, you got community activists, agencies. You have so many people calling upon you, and they're saying, Donna, sometimes, what can we do? So what do you think is needed?
I know what's needed immediately is to understand that we are in post-traumatic stress. We are in the same predicament as our soldiers coming home. We are experiencing some stuff in our communities. This is across the country. However, I'm worrying about Newark. Our children are constantly bombarded with gunshots, with victims being outside, which being pulled back into school, with going home, and if it's not their immediate family member, it's a cousin, it's a friend, it's someone that they knew that has been shot, they have been killed, and we don't rush to service with that. I tell folks all the time, we just went through the situation on Haddon Terrace, unfortunately. We've lost children throughout the time, but I think that what we don't understand is you can't give counseling just for a week. You can't do counseling for 2 weeks. It needs to be ongoing. I may come in the next day after experiencing a tragedy and be good. I might be good for 2-3 weeks. I may come in the month after losing my grandmother. I mean, I don't think people, I'm not going to say they don't care, but I don't think they understand the dynamic of our families, because our families are different.
Is it a public health issue?
It's past a public health issue. It's something that we should have been running at since Sharp left, to deal with the breakdown of the family, and so to speak, but the new family, because now the new family may be, I got my kids, I'm in a relationship with someone, and they're just standing in as good as a father, as they want to call it the stepdad, but sometimes those titles get us all messed up. And there are some men out here, just like there are some women, who walk into relationships and we embrace those children like they're ours. And the breakup of the adults always trickle down to the children, and I think we don't look at how that happens. And I think that's one of my biggest pushes that I'm going to begin to work on next year, is how we remain a family. Some people do it so well. I think Will and Jada although the media wants us to think about Willow and the rest of them, I ain't talking about that. I think the fact that he and Jada got married and that the older son's mother was able to live off on her, that's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
We shouldn't be fighting because our kids see that.
Right.
And then when they get into new relationships, that's how it goes. I think we spent so much time saving the black male that we forgot about the female, and our girls are out of control. I mean, I have community names for them and people laugh, but I'm serious. I call them Bonquifa and Shafaquita. And they, what? Who name? Huh? My name ain't Onifa? Yeah, but you're acting like Onifa.
Right.
So if you don't want me to call you Onifa and you don't want me to call you Bonquisha, names that I've made up that mean nothing but sound crazy, it's because you acting crazy.
But we have the 80s, we have the 90s, we have
Yes.
2000s. So
Yes.
now we're into 2016. What changed? What happened with our system that would cause this division?
I think purposely DIFUS was forced on our families in the late 80s, early 90s to tell you could not discipline your child. I think the drugs of your and my time have been now man-made into super drugs, and that our children using them are now turned into super monsters. I think that parents don't understand. We so afraid in the black community, oh, I don't want my baby labeled. Well, you better let them be labeled so you can get some help. Now, label your child at 2, 3, and 4. When you see that there's some developmental issues that could later turn into stuff, and I can't impress enough. If you don't get anything else from me today, parents, we have to watch what our children are doing. When our children are stabbing other kids, our children are being suspended from preschool at 3 and 4 years old, something is wrong. We cannot keep doing everything in front of our children. Now, it's do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't apply. I'm doing what I see you do.
Right.
So, mommy, if I see you doing this, daddy, if you keep smoking around me, all that I see, that's what I'm going to try to do.
Now, who needs to come together to make this happen? Because we're talking about the children suffering so many different things, especially trauma. Because they're exposed to a lot. So when you think about all the agencies and the people, who needs to come together, come up with a resolution? I mean, I don't know what the resolution is, but it has to be something that's better than what we're experiencing right now with the children. We have so much violence that's happening, not just in our city, but just in general in the world. And our children are seeing this. We have the traumatic experience. We have the educational breakdown of the family structure. So, like, who needs to come together for us to have a resolution? And we understand that the parents play a major role. So, who needs to come together?
I think that we need to, as there is a galvanization of us with this election, I think we now really, as people came out to vote, many who haven't voted in years, don't see these numbers at school board time. We better wake up and understand that that's necessary. Don't see these numbers during a regular local election. And we have to stop voting and stop sending our money to folks who aren't going to do. So I think for me right now, I'm putting together a couple of welfare hearings. I'm putting together a couple of social service hearings, because I think right now we as the people need to evaluate the services that we are getting. People are making millions and billions of dollars off of our demises in our community. The Latino community in particular, for those that I deal with on a regular basis, is really being victimized because of the language barrier. You know, even their own people who speak their language but also speak that English well do them in. I'm looking at kids' IEPs. I'm looking at social service agencies that's supposed to help them. I'm looking at how our people apply for help. And if you're, you know, just the fact, if you're African American, you go to La Casa Don Pedro, you're going to get this much money. If you're of the Hispanics persuasion, you're going to get this different group of money. If you're in the poor category, black and brown, you're going to get this other pot of money, instead of dealing with everyone fairly. And I think that it's now time for consumers, which we are. I don't think people understand what it means to be a taxpayer and what that power is. I know parents don't understand right now what their power is. When I was PTA president at 13th Avenue, got rid of 2 principals. Wasn't no issue. We had one meeting. We keeping them? Yes or no? No, we don't. Okay, next meeting, that's it. We're going to the board. You're going to remove him from this building. And within 2 and 3 months, that happened. Now we're stuck with people years and years and years because we're afraid or don't understand. And I do understand when parents are walking into these buildings, these schools, when they walk into welfare office, 18 Rector Street, oh my goodness, if I could just take the building and push it into the water. It's just not conducive to helping me do what I want to do. They're sending people to training programs that lead to nothing. Why do we want to keep in 2016, almost 2000? Why are we still training people for CNA? Why are we still training people to do jobs that are virtually leaving us, that don't lead to any income for a family to do better with themselves? We got so stuck on, them people in the projects. Well, guess what? Some of y'all was in the project. Well, so was your family. And when the projects first started, the 70s and the 80s, we were okay in there because you lived in building 12. I lived in building 6.
Right.
You were my sister. If I didn't have jelly, I could come to your house and we would make a meal out of what we had. We've lost that in the implosion of those buildings. I hear people, Donnie, you can't have all them people living together. Okay, well, what's all these apartment buildings in Jersey City? What's all these apartment buildings that they're getting ready to put up downtown North? They're getting ready to put up 75,000 luxury apartments in downtown North. Those people gonna be on top of each other. What's the difference? The difference is there's an expectation of service because they work and make certain income. There's an expectation of service to the 5 to 6 million people a day that come into this town and make between $900 and $2,000 a week. Newark families aren't making that.
Right.
The families that work here, Newark is the lowest paid civil service workers in the state. Newark Board of Education people haven't been permanent in years. So just listen, people. We got to shore up our unions.
Right.
We got to shore up our fight. When you don't go to your union meeting, you don't got the right to complain. When you don't vote in the election, shut your mouth. I don't want to hear it. We have such good meetings in the laundromat. Y'all talk all that mess in the barbershop. Shut up. You talk all that mess on Facebook.
Right.
And I'm on Facebook too. Just got on there in December. You're welcome. But it's time for us to come out as a people.
Right.
Let's come out on one issue.
Right.
I love the love that I'm seeing because unfortunately they killed our community mascot Oogie. They killed our son, although 45, disabled. For what reason?
But the thing is that
so now that touched everybody.
And everybody came out.
Now we understand.
Now we have thousands of people.
We came out. Right,
yes.
We came out for Head and Terrace.
Right.
There were 2 innocent babies involved there.
Yes.
We came out when children. Okay, so. We are still stuck on, it didn't happen to my family. That's not my concern. Donna, I can't do that. I'm not going to come to that. I'm going to try to come. No, you better stop trying to come. You better get there.
Well, Donna,
our board of education meetings should be packed. Our city council meetings should be packed. And we need to do what we have to do to fix this. Because I'm telling y'all right now, if we don't turn this corner right now, our children have nothing. Every parent wants their child to have better than they had. And if we don't begin to do the work now and keep praying and stand on our faith, we can't fix this.
Listen. I read so because this woman is passionate, as you can see. And we coming to the end. But the message you have given to us is that we have to come together. We have to unify. We have to create unity. Yes. And one thing I love, you want to get in contact with Donna, you can always see her all on Facebook, Donna Jackson on Facebook. She is the type of person, she will come to wherever you're located. She doesn't mind speaking. She don't mind fighting. Wherever injustice is, Donna's there to push. Yeah. And I want to thank you today. And we have a song that we're going to end with. It's a Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou, but the singer is Ruthie Foster. And I want to thank you for being a phenomenal woman in our community.
And I want to thank you for being the same too.
It ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heel.